Hi, it's What If Wednesday time with Susan Bennett Fisher and Martin Fisher, the co-founders of Body of Nine.
What if you could do no harm, at a minimum, out there in the world?
Many of us like to think that we're going to help the world, and we do our best to help the people around us. I like to think back on the show Scrubs, which was around 10 plus years ago. And in the show, we had our two heroes, one of whom was a regular doctor and one of whom was a surgeon. And one of their tension points was, well, when do I cut? And when do I see if the body can help itself with a little bit of help from medicine? Both of them really were passionate about what they did. Or at least their characters were.
Just an example.
Just an example. Both of them really wanted the best for their patients. And both of them had done the Hippocratic Oath about doing no harm. And sometimes they made the wrong decision because they didn't really know.
Right. We go through life when we believe in ourselves, when we're committed to what we do and we have a set of life experiences, there's this kind of basic assumption that we make, which is that we know best. And when we hold we know best as the only way to look at something, it's very easy to inadvertently do harm to other people. Not on purpose and not with the best of intentions. And that's out there all over the place in the world today.
There's such an interesting balance between, I know good stuff, and when I tell you my good stuff, it's going to make you feel better. It's going to do good things for you.
I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. Right?
And the bottom line is that sometimes the thing that you know that's going to help someone the best isn't going to help them. Sometimes you can give them an extra tool that they can use so that if something comes up, they can use that tool. But if you insist that someone's life goes a particular way because it works for you, you may be doing harm.
And that could be as a parent, that could be as a boss, that could be as a friend. That could just be standing in the grocery line.
Yeah.
We're all rather liberal with our advice and our opinions about how other people should receive our wisdom and behave in return.
One of the fun things about being a coach is that you get to work with many, many different kinds of people. Each of the 9 natural numbers probably will come to you, although some will resonate with what you say and some will not. And the people that don't resonate with what you say, that doesn't mean you can't give them gifts and tools to live their life. But if you insist that their life, it goes forward in the way that you want their life to do, and they are not the same or close natural number to you, that's not going to work.
So let's bring natural number into that concept here. There are 9 physiologically different kinds of people. This is an unknown fact out in the world. This is not a neutral problem. This is actually a very big problem. 9 centers in the body. When you're born, 1 is born active. You've heard us say this probably before if you're listening to this one and you've listened to other ones. When you're born, your body selects in some manner one of those 9 to become essentially the way in which you interpret and experience the world. It is the lens through which your primary senses function. What this means is your experience is completely different than the person that's sitting next to you, unless your bodies happen to have the same set of sensors active.
And how those sensors are used and what honors that person, what makes that person feel seen, what that person needs to live and enjoy their life differs completely by each of the 9 natural numbers.
Right. And so if you make the assumption that everybody out in the world makes, which is, Martin, if you would just do things a little bit more like me, the world would be a better place, right?
And the same way is, okay, Susan, if you looked at the world and you thought your way through things the way that I think my way through things, you'd be able to solve your problems. And guess what, guys? That is completely wrong. It is so wrong, it is just unimaginable how wrong it is to make somebody else behave and live the way that you do if they don't share your same natural number.
Right. And in family, this doesn't repeat. So 9 people, up to 9 people in the family, after 9, it has to repeat numerically. You're all completely different in your family. Most work groups have the diversity of all 9 in them. Is there somebody in your work group that you just don't understand? They don't share a natural number, and it's not a natural number you're familiar with. So as a healer, which is we're working right now with coaches and holistic practitioners to help them understand why should they integrate Body of Nine into what they're doing. Well, the reality is if you don't integrate Body of Nine into what you're doing, you actually are potentially doing harm because you do not understand where the person that is sitting in front of you is coming from, what they care about, what's important to them. And you have to go on this journey of investigation in order to figure that out. If you knew their natural number, you would know where to start.
So how did we get here? Why are we bringing this up right now? Well, we have some friends that had one of their family members have to go to a place that was supposed to, quote, cure them. It was supposed to make them have a better life and deal with some of the trauma that they had experienced when they were younger. As it turns out, the installation that they went to was very head-based. Most of the people there, all of whom were really passionate, really caring, were all head types.
Right, so that there are 3 natural numbers in the head, 3 in the chest, and 3 in the core. And depending on where your orientation is, you need a different kind of support. You need a different way of dealing with life. So the head types have an ability to think through things, to calm their mind and think through a problem, to come up with a thought-based solution. The 2, 4, 6s, and 8s, the body-based, have to wait and figure out how their bodies feel. Now, they can calm their minds, absolutely, but the answer doesn't come from thinking through and deciding to have better behavior. It comes from the body. And so if you have a mismatch in alignment between the therapy, the therapist, the coach, the holistic practitioner, and the needs of the person, you actually can do harm because you can continue. What happens out in the world is we get separated from our nature. And if we continue to separate a person from their nature because we don't understand how to get them back to it, that can make the problem worse. Inadvertently, you're not doing that on purpose. You have one lens. You think, well, why can't this person just calm down and think through something? Well, the reality is they can do it, but it's done a very different way. And until you understand that the person in front of you is not like you, doesn't care about what you care, but doesn't take in information the way you do, you can't begin to really help them.
And you can't make them without stripping away their nature. And yes, there are certainly ways that you can strip people's nature away.
It's done all the time.
And it's not a pleasant experience, and it's actually not a very good experience.
It's not good for the person stripping or being stripped,
Right.
yeah.
So how do we resolve this? How do we get to this place where we're not doing harm? And the first question is, who is the person in front of you? What is it that they need? And what they need is very, very clear based on their natural number.
Right.
It is so
very
clear.
predictive.
It's very, very clear. Knowing someone's natural number helps you know how they experience the world and how you can help them. Now, then, once you know their person's natural number, what it is they need, then you can start to phrase your wisdom in a way that they can hear it and they can use that tool.
Right.
We all can help each other. We're not saying you can only work with someone of your natural number at all.
No, definitely not, because they already have that fundamental wisdom. So you don't need to do anything other than reveal that to them,
Right.
which you don't need to have their natural number to reveal their wisdom to them through their body.
Right. And then once you know where they're coming from and what they need, then you can give them the extra tools based on your wisdom. And by knowing your wisdom and who you are, you can more easily express things in the terms of what other people need. And our bodies know this stuff. This is not something that's new in any place except in our heads. As
Right.
Susan said, this is a fact that is not known, doesn't make it less of a fact. And everybody we talk to, everybody that we talk to, all the holistic practitioners, all the coaches understand the value of being able to not do harm by understanding the person in front of you. And that's not a 6-month or a year's exploration. It's not
Right.
sitting down and talking about something for a year.
That's just before you even start talking to this person, you know something about them that they probably don't know about themselves.
It is their secret self, as one of our friends and partners said the other day. When we identified them, we were able to see her secret self. And it was almost, some of it was secret to her. And we've had this experience with many, many of the people that we work with, identify and start down this path of being able to not do harm and give the wisdom at the same time.
Right. So the first step is understanding what are the 9 natural numbers? How are they different? What is your natural number? How do you activate that in your body? Because these are all body-based physical activations. And they create a different action and reaction in the body, a different perceptive ability. And when you change natural numbers in your body by bringing a different focus to different muscles and bones, you actually change how your senses, the other six senses, take in the information and how they process it.
One of the buzzwords, I apologize for the phrase, but one of the buzzwords that's running around the coaching community right now is somatic, body-based. And this is a very body-based, aka somatic experience, because this is about your body. It's about the body of your clients. It's about the body of your family, your families, and that all of us are different. You and your loved one are different. You and your children are different. You and your brothers and sisters are different. You and your parents are different. Your grandparents may be the same. But there's a whole difference in the world which we experience.
Right, and yet there's this assumption that we're not different in a physiological way.
Right.
We are. And what this means is if you're trying to help somebody from your perspective and you don't share natural number or you don't understand their natural number, you can do harm.
Best case, they're not going to understand what you're saying.
Best case, best case they'll ignore you.
Right. Well, yeah, and the next case is they're going to ignore you. And so, but you can face things in a different way.
You can learn to speak the language that their body speaks.
One of our partners that has been doing this work almost longer than we have, he's a therapist, and he uses the term power posture for people that aren't feeling particularly seen or feel they need power. And it's the sixth movement. So knowing what and how you can give the gift of the other natural numbers to people is also an amazingly powerful way to go forward. The ability to be vulnerable by doing natural number 1, the ability to connect to someone using natural number 2, the ability to focus and enliven people with joy is natural number 3, the ability to process our deep emotions is natural number 4. We as human beings have 9 different ways to be in the world. One of them we know, mostly subconsciously, unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately, it's not conscious.
The others can be learned. And when you know all 9, then you don't do harm.
Yes, at a minimum.
At a minimum.
And it opens up the possibility for you to have your messages received by everyone. We don't work with people who don't find out their natural number. We just don't.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. It's too, there's too much of a disconnect of understanding.
And we don't wish to be the bringers of fear and uncertainty and doubt and gloom.
This is actually very hopeful.
But at the same time, sometimes, certainly if you're a coach, sometimes your clients just don't get it. And it's actually,
no matter what, right?
And the bottom line is they can't hear you the way you're speaking to them. It's no one's fault.
Yes, we have a 7 friend who's teaching about intuition, and she continually teaches about intuition from her amazing 7 ability to connect with ethereal energy and bring the wisdom that is out in the ethers into this space. And she has this fundamental assumption that everybody else can do it too.
Right.
And they can, but only if she teaches them to use their 7-ness in their own body. And so just trying to teach it doesn't actually get there. So this adds that piece on top that lets you say, okay, well, how does Martin experience unembodied energy? And how does Susan experience unembodied energy? Well, as a 6, I don't experience unembodied energy. So in order to experience unembodied energy, I actually have to leave my body in a different way than I ever would while I'm in my 6th space. Whereas Martin is continually connected to out-of-body energy.
So, simple answer here. At the very, very minimum, if you want to teach some of your clients or your friends and the rest of these things, some wisdom that you have, help them do your body posture. Whatever that body posture is, do the floppy.
And then lift.
And lift, and then see how they lift, and then teach them to lift the way that you do. Then they can hear you. Then they can use that part of the body. It's a very, very simplistic
simple way to start.
It's a simple start. It won't work all the time, but unless their body is able to do what your body's doing, it can't hear you the way that you can. They can't hear your wisdom.
Right.
Literally cannot hear it because it makes no sense to them.
No sense. Sometimes I listen to them, people of other natural numbers, and I'm like, oh, what are they saying? Why are they saying that? And I can't even process it. It just goes like right over my being because I'm not able to connect into the space where they are. And this happens over and over and over again. Like, what is that person upset about? Also, that the placement of judgment on other people's behaviors from your own lens is so devastating.
And vice versa.
For you and for your friends, partners, and family. Absolutely.
So, in closing, we don't mean that everyone's doing bad things. Everyone's doing great things.
They're trying to do their best.
They're trying. Everyone is
But
doing
inadvertently, your best isn't actually good enough.
Right.
Sorry to tell you that, but it's actually really true.
Yeah.
Your best is not good enough. You need to know this information. Without it, you will not continue to do the best for the person in front of you.
And you won't be able to do the best for everybody.
Right. You can do your best, but your best could be so much better. So we're looking for our partners that are ready to take this out in the world and help us all do so much better with each other. To love, to honor, to cherish, to support, to acknowledge, to connect, all in the 9 different ways that we do that.
And without your wisdom, the world isn't going to move forward. No. We need to change as human beings. And the only way to change all human beings is to acknowledge that there are 9.
That's right. And figure out how to activate and integrate all of that amazing wisdom. If you're ready to grow, if you're ready to expand your horizons beyond anything you ever imagined, please join us. We are ready for you.